7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you and welcome on to a Tuesday. Feels like a Monday. This ding-dong ditch story, I find really fascinating, Sam and Louie, for a couple of different reasons. Number one, Sam, I know that you are, I sense that when you were a kid, you had a bit of mischievousness in you.
You don't say.
So I would be willing to bet that you were a ding-dong ditcher.
Avid.
Okay. And Louie, you were telling me off the air that you were an extreme ding-dong ditcher.
Oh, yeah.
So talk a little bit about exactly what you did, because I was horrified by this.
Yeah, so when we played Ding Dong Ditch, we took it to the extreme. Like, we did more than ring your doorbell. Like, we'll bang on your door, kick the door. Like, especially the people go out the in the neighborhood that we was in, they had the screen doors, like the metal screen doors. Mm-hmm. So you can really hear like the metal shaking as we were banging on the door. Like, you'll probably really think you're getting robbed.
Would you do it more than once to the same house?
Not in the same day, but yeah. Yeah.
So a couple of, and I was a ding-dong ditcher. And, but I didn't do it, I mean, not to the extreme that you did, Louie, but I would do it on occasion. And so my mom, when I got caught, here's the thing. When the neighbors told my mom and my dad that I was out there ding-dong ditching with my dumb A friends, oh, did I get my butt whooped. I mean, it was just like the fury that came down from my parents, and they were divorced at the time, but boy, did I got a whooping. So I was interested. In my neighborhood, I got ding-dong ditched a couple of months ago. I think it was on a Saturday night, Friday or Saturday night. And I was really mad. And the reason why I was really mad is because, sleep to me does not come easily. It just doesn't because of my schedule. So I get ding-dong ditched and I come running down the stairs in my socks.
Just your socks?
Well, no, I was wearing my little jammies too. You always have to make it weird, don't you, Sam?
You said in my socks.
So, and I, of course, slip going down the stairs, right? So I took a bit of a tumble. I could not sleep the rest of the night. And it turns out that these kids, they were caught on somebody's camera, and it was posted on our little Facebook group, Horseshoe Cove Facebook group. And there were parents, and I don't want to bash anybody, but there were people that were making excuses for these kids. Like, oh, they're only kids, and kids will be kids. And I get that. But if your kids are out at like 11:30, and they're ding-dong ditching, and there's ramifications or consequences for the people that are ding-dong ditched. And I don't want to scream, get off my lawn, because I know that's what I sound like. And certainly I would never advocate for what this dude did in Texas. But, I mean, ding-dong ditching, you think it's harmless, and it really is. But stuff also happens when people are ding-dong ditched. And if you've already got some problems in the neighborhood, my neighborhood doesn't. But, I mean, they can have fatal consequences. And so I was sort of, I don't know, I didn't really know how to react to people on the Facebook page from my neighborhood defending these kids as they're out at 11:30 at night, ding-dong ditching people. Like, is it the epitome of I'm old and get off my lawn that I start complaining about kids playing ding-dong ditch at 11:30 at night?
No, and what I was going to say about it is we used to throw little like gravel pebbles at people's door. Realizing now as an adult that was a terrible idea. I could have broken a window or something, done some actual damage.
Oh, you throw it at the windows, yeah.
Yeah, or like the window in the door pane or something like that. But I recently, a few weeks ago, had somebody live next to a church out in Robertson County, and someone pulled through in their modified, we'll call it an S-box of a car because it was crappy. And they were revving their engine at 1 o'clock in the morning outside my house.
Yep.
With no muffler on, and I lost it. I absolutely went outside screaming, cursing up a storm. When I shared the video from my camera to the Facebook group, I was met with similar, well, it's just having fun. It was a Tuesday night, man. I have to get up for work the next day. What are you talking about?
Right. I mean, granted, my situation, I think it was on, as I said, like a Friday or Saturday night. It wasn't a school night. But, I mean, still. And if you're, I don't know, man, again, I hate to get off my lawn, but if your kids are out at like 11:30 at night and they're ding-dong ditching, I don't care what neighborhood you live in. If your kids are like 11, 12, 13 years old, get their butts back inside and tell them to watch a movie or play a game or whatever, but don't disturb other people.
I would remind the parents of anyone defending that the state issues a curfew for teenage drivers, so your children better have a curfew as well.
Well, and here's the other thing is when Sam, you and I were kids, and Louie, when you were a kid, they didn't have, well, maybe when you were a kid, Sam, but they didn't have Ring cameras. They didn't have cameras everywhere.
No.
Now it's like cameras are everywhere. So if Riker ever came and said, hey, I'm going to, spend the night at this kid's house, or we're going to go out and ding-dong ditch, our neighbors and stuff, man, I would be like, absolutely not, number one, because you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught because everybody has a Ring camera these days, and people don't think it's funny. And when my parents caught me doing it, that came down on me, I still remember to this day. And I think part of me was so surprised that people were excusing the ding-dong ditching late at night. That's number one. And number two, that these kids were caught on Ring camera. And you knew I didn't know who these kids were, but I'm assuming somebody did. And you don't realize, it's just a prank, but you don't realize what you do to people when you do ding-dong ditch. Because if you're like an older person, if you're like 65, 70, 72 years old, and, you're a person of a certain age, that kind of stuff really bothers you. So, and I do understand it's a harmless prank. I get it. I know I sound like get off my lawn, but there's so many other things to do. Why ding-dong ditch? And it had terrible consequences in Texas.
You ever done it in a hotel?
Oh, man, yes.
In a hotel?
Yes. Yeah. Like if they took you on a field trip or something, in like middle school or high school, and then specifically on a school trip, you can get away from, like your parents aren't making you stay in the room. Oh, yes, ding-dong ditch in hotels.
How your friend hold the elevator open?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
1096 wants to know, Sam, did you pull a gun out and shoot at the driver or the occupants of that car?
No, but I will say I worked up my pit bull pretty aggressively, and I was ready to let him go. I didn't, against better judgment, but they stopped. They were listening to terrible music. I could have fired a couple of shots into the ground, and then the cops would have been called, and it would have been a whole thing. But yeah, I just went out screaming like an old man. That's I felt gray hairs coming into place as I was letting words fly out of my mouth.
See, that's what I hate. That's what I hate, because I'm already self-conscious because I feel like I'm old, and then when I'm like complaining about ding-dong ditchers, I just feel like the get off my lawn guy. And people on the Super Text line are like, what comes around goes around. You went ding-dong ditching when you were a kid.
That's true.
And now you're ding-dong ditched as an adult. And I guess that is sort of like maybe a rite of passage or something. I just don't get the appeal. That's the other thing, though. Like,
it was a rite of passage, as you pointed out, before the Ring doorbell security systems, because now you get a screen grab and share it with your local Facebook page. And if you are a parent worth their salt about it, you will reprimand your child, because that's an extension of you.
Yep.
And that child is acting in your name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got spanked
Oh,
when I ding-dong ditched. I never ding-dong ditched again.
My mother broke a hairbrush over my rear end.
No.
Yeah.
Did she really?
Yes.
For ding-dong ditching?
For the pebble throw. So we would hide under the car in the driveway and toss pebbles at the door. Yeah. So it was more gentle on the ditching, but people were very confused as to why they heard noises. So we probably messed with people pretty good mentally.
How about you, Louie?
I can't relate.
Your mom ever break a hairbrush over your behind?
I can't relate. I've never gotten caught. Never.
Well, we're going to send a tape of this to your parents.
Statute of limitations has run out, Dan.
7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, cloudy today, a couple of showers, a heavy thunderstorm as well, possible flooding, high of 79, feeling like 80 degrees. Today, a low of 61. And Sam, people want both my address and your address so that they can torment us, it would appear.
My address is 10 Music City Circle East.
Sure, come on out here. Just knock on our doors left and right. We are famous here at the radio station for not answering our doors. Got all the homeless people that are sleeping out in front of the sidewalk in front of the station. So yeah, no, we don't answer our doors.
Yeah,
anyway,
I had to race down there for my DoorDash order so it didn't get eaten yesterday.
Oh yeah, well that is exactly what happens. All right, moving right along. Okay, yeah. So I'm looking at all the people. You know, when you talk about something like this, people will come out and talk about what they did when they were kids. I did. I toilet TP'd, right? I toilet papered as well. I did do that. You ever egg somebody? Sam, you ever do that? You ever egg somebody?
Not a house, but a person.
You egged an individual?
Yes, and they deserved it.
What did they do to deserve it? You led me down this road. Now you got to answer truthfully. Who was it, and what did they do?
It was a guy that I went to high school with that was very forward with a young lady about certain physical adventures that teenagers typically go on consensually together.
Yes.
And so we caught him walking on a sidewalk one day in my buddy's car, and I leaned out and assisted in the tossing of a dozen eggs at his person.
You just happen to have eggs in the car?
Actually,
or did you go, or was this premeditated?
We saw him walking. I won't say where or when. We saw him walking on the sidewalk, drove down to a Dollar General, grabbed a dozen eggs, and then drove back the other direction and let them fly.
The great thing is Sam grew up here, so he's got to be careful as to what exactly it is that he exposes because
they know me.
They know you. I grew up in L.A., so, nobody from L.A. listens to me here, which is fine. And I do find that funny, though, that you have to change the names to make sure that, you don't get, busted. But, yeah, I don't know. I hope none of my neighbors are mad at me now because I was kind of horrified by they're just kids having fun as I fall down the stairs. You know what I mean?
You know what you do is you set a trap next time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Halloween's coming up. I don't know if you decorate, but one of those motion-activated scarecrows or something.
Yeah.
You FO on Ding Dong Ditchin' at the Mandis household.
FAFO. Everybody knows us as the inflatables house. We have all kinds of inflatables. We bought a new inflatable, as a matter of fact.
Your house looks like a used car lot?
It does, actually. Our house does indeed look like a used car lot. We have all kinds of inflatables, and we like it. And Amy loves it, and I love it, and we just have all kinds of fun. And you know what? If that Ding Dong Ditch kid, I know what he looks like. Because I got that on my computer. I saved it. So if that Ding Dong Ditch kid comes to the house and wants some candy from me, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw it at him.
Or you give him fruit. Give him something healthy.
No, fruit is too good. I'll give him like broccoli.
Ooh, you know what? We get some pretty good spaghetti squash around here. He'd have no idea what to do with that.
Yeah, you know what? I could throw some of Joan's tomatoes at him because she's going to be back on Wednesday. Anyway, got to go. 7:20 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. By the way, as far as the super text line, of course, as you can imagine, is blowing up. And by the way, we are not making light of this kid who was shot to death in Texas. That is crazy. And I don't know if there maybe was some other bad blood between this homeowner and these kids, but the kid was 11. You say 11?
Yep, 11.
11 years old. So that homeowner is wrong. I mean, if this kid was running away and he was shot in the back, this homeowner is wrong because the second your doorbell rings at, late at night, you know what it is. Anybody knows what it is. It's ding dong ditching. And it's, it is, again, I'm not excusing it, but everybody knows what it is. So this person was absolutely wrong. All right, 7:21, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986. And we do have the news coming up at 7:30 with Sam. Sam was coming up. 7:28, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've been well-danned multiple times on the Super text line because a couple of people said, listen, if your doorbell is wrong, or your door is knocked on at 11:30 at night, it could be somebody that wants to do you harm. All right, fair enough. People are actually right on that. So that's number one, Sam. Number two is people from California, because I said nobody listens to me from California. I'm apparently been disabused of that notion. People are listening in California. Thank you. And number three, Sam, when you ran to the Dollar General and grabbed those eggs to throw it at that person that you egged.
Allegedly.
You know what that was called? Pre-eggitated.
That's good.
Thank you to 8746 for that stupid joke. It is 7:30 on Nashville's Morning News on WTN. 7:38 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of my favorite sound bites of the day is this one. This happened on CNN. Now, we've all spoken about the gerrymandering that is going on in Texas, and they're going to do it in other states as well. But political commentator Brad Todd dropped the bombshell on CNN. And you know what they're talking about? They're talking about something that I've actually spoken about with you, friends, many times. That is the 2020 census and how the errors almost always were to the detriment of red states. You want to hear the audio? Because this is great. I love this for so many different reasons. Number one, it's because it needs some video, Louis, is that this is something that even though conservatives will tell you up and down that this did happen in the 2020 census, Democrats aren't always as excited to talk about this.
One of the big things is it helps decide congressional maps.
Right.
Does this have everything to do with redistricting?
Well, it does. In fact, we know the 2020 census, the errors were almost always to the detriment of red states. Blue states like Rhode Island.
Do we know that?
We do know that. The Census Bureau's own audit of its work has proven that.
Yep.
Blue states like Rhode Island were overcounted. Rhode Island then didn't lose a seat. Red states like Alabama were undercounted. This is just a fact. It wasn't all red-blue, but it was disproportionately red-blue.
Yeah, I mean, the anchor on CNN, I mean, she did not want to believe it. But, you know, there were a lot of mistakes in the 2020 census. And that's one of the reasons why you do have states that are justifying redoing it. Here's what they show. I grokked it because I just saw this soundbite. Statistically significant errors in 14 states. The 2020 census found significant overcounts in 8 states. All right, 8 states. You know what those states were? Listen to this. Delaware, Democrat state. Hawaii, Democrat state. Massachusetts, Democrat state. Minnesota, New York, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Utah. By and large, I'm not sure about Utah. I think that's a Republican state, but I'm not sure. But you've got all of these different states that were Democrat states that were overcounted. Remember, that was significant overcounts in all those Democrat-run states. Now, the undercounts. Several states were undercounted. Arkansas, red. Florida, red. Illinois, blue. Mississippi, red. Tennessee, hello, red. And Texas, red. So this guy on CNN was absolutely right. And yes, they did their own investigation. And they realized that they made a mistake. And so it does make a lot of sense that, okay, let's go back and let's not wait for, you know, the 10 years. Let's go ahead and do this, you know, midway through that 10-year period so that we can get accurate counts, so that we can have credible and fair elections, that we can look at these elections and say, yeah, you know what? We believe that was an appropriate election. We believe that there was, you know, no hijinks or shenanigans. Because, I mean, if you look at the overcounts and the undercounts, it does look underhanded. So they need to get that. They obviously need to get all of that cleaned up because those are big problems. But here's the thing. When you start looking at everything that's going to happen coming up in this midterm election, it's going to be fascinating to see how this whole thing plays out. By the way, where do I want to go? Because I'm rapidly running out of time. Minnesota shooting and RFK Jr. under attack. This is where I want to go. Real quickly, because I don't want to focus too much on her. Rosie O'Donnell, I played you this audio earlier, where she has now come out and she is apologizing to MAGA. Big news today. I'm not entirely certain why, but let me just do this real quick again. I did it a couple of hours ago. Rosie O'Donnell making news this morning as she is apologizing to MAGA for blaming Republican, MAGA, Donald Trump supporters for the shooting in Minnesota. This is the audio. Need some video if I could. Louis, this is Rosie O'Donnell. Listen very closely.
Hi, everybody. It's Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones. Listen, I have a cold sore. I know. Happens. Get run down, you know. Anyway.
All that Trump derangement syndrome that she has must be running her down. All of that hate that Rosie O'Donnell has for MAGA and conservatives and Republicans and Donald Trump. Rosie, that's why you're run down. If you weren't so hateful all the time, maybe, you wouldn't have that big thing on your lip.
I know a lot of you were very upset about the video I made before I went away for a few days. I didn't go online and haven't seen them till today. But you are right. I did not do my due diligence before I made that emotional statement. And I said things about the shooter that were incorrect. I assumed, like most shooters, they followed a standard MO and had standard, feelings of NRA-loving kind of gun people. Anyway, the truth is I messed up. And when you mess up, you fess up. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. This is my apology video, and I hope it's enough.
All right, so it's not enough. You can play the violins. You can cue the violins for Rosie O'Donnell as she is realizing that she did wrong. What's interesting, though, is the assumptions that she made. When she says, I assume this was some, conservative, MAGA supporter, Donald Trump supporter, NRA-loving, gun nut. And I'm here to tell you that and I'm not an NRA member. Maybe I should join. But NRA is full of folks that understand the responsibility of gun ownership. That's one thing I know about the gun owners that I know, the conservative gun owners that I know. They completely understand the responsibility of a gun. But I was curious, okay, so what exactly is it that Rosie O'Donnell said that she was apologizing for? Because she never really went into specifics about what she said. So this is what she said in the hours after the shooting.
And so about the Minnesota shooting, and it brought me right back to Columbine in 1999 when I just could not get it through my head that students in America were shooting each other in schools. And this was a church inside a Catholic school. And what do you know, it was a white guy, Republican, MAGA person.
White guy, Republican, MAGA person. I mean, she couldn't have been more wrong.
When has it ever been someone like that?
Never. Not that I know of. I'm glad you asked that question, Sam, because I can't think of a time when it's ever been someone like that. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. And, if you folks want to well-dan me on the super text line, you can, 615-737-9986. But she is so horrifically wrong.
What do you know? White supremacist.
White supremacist. I mean, I don't know. The assumptions that she made are actually irresponsible, to be perfectly honest.
Nothing has happened since Columbine. Nothing. The Million Mom March, nothing.
All right, so that is Rosie O'Donnell, and that is the video that she was apologizing for. And I got to tell you, and I said this earlier, but, you know, people like Rosie, at this point, they don't have any credibility left. They just don't. And so I put Rosie O'Donnell, and you know what? She's in Ireland, right? She's in Ireland. Can she just go live her life in Ireland and leave the rest of us alone? Like, you already left. So her escaping America should be us escaping her. You know what I mean? You live in Ireland now. You go talk about Ireland stuff. But I put her in the same, you know, aside from the comedic fodder that, you know, people like this give us as talk show hosts, but I put her in the same insanity bucket as like Keith Olbermann and the two Joys, Behar and Reed. But, you know, for most of us, I think it is a lesson learned with Rosie O'Donnell that you don't make these broad character assassinations. And again, I don't know how she could have been more wrong. And when you think about those assumptions, it was the exact opposite of what she said. So, yeah, it was a white guy, a trans, a guy pretending to be a girl. But to your point, Sam, and I have this in my notes, I'm not sure when the last time a, quote, Trump-supporting NRA member carried out a mass shooting at a school. Do you know what I bet you there's far more instances of? I bet you there's far more instances of a Trump-supporting NRA supporter taking down a possible mass shooter. I know I've seen those. I've seen those on the socials many times.
It's going to end with a good guy with a gun one way or the other, whether that's law enforcement or a citizen.
Yeah. I mean, or the guy takes himself out.
Well, it still ends with a gun.
Yeah, it does. The shooter, by the way, as we all now know, scribbled, "Kill Donald Trump" on his gun. And a lot of this information was almost immediately known. So Rosie O'Donnell posts this, and then she just bails for like 3 days, leaving it to fester online. So then, of course, you know, she has to come back and apologize. And so that is Rosie O'Donnell. And I don't know, it's like so many of these folks out there. They go after Donald Trump. They go after MAGA. They go after conservatives, and they lose their own credibility. By the way, you know what Donald Trump is going to talk about today at 2 Eastern, 1 o'clock Central? It has something to do with the Department of Defense. No, I don't know what that is, but President Trump is going to make some sort of an announcement today at 2 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Central. And so I'm hearing now from, you know, my sources, people on Twitter, are saying that this is going to be something about the Department of Defense, and some people are saying maybe it's going to be some sort of a name change. The Department of Defense. Some people are saying they're going to make it into the Department of War, I guess. I don't know. So we'll have to see what the president has to say. I think he made up a reason to get in front of the cameras to prove the Democrats wrong. I think that's what the president is doing, and I welcome it. I'm here for it because, as if you've been listening this morning, you know that the Democrats since Friday, literally since Friday, they've been running around talking about how Donald Trump is dead. If you didn't know about that, yes, this was a social media thing. A bunch of Democrats running around saying that Donald Trump is dead and that there is a body double that was out actually golfing with Donald Trump's granddaughter. This is why people like Rosie O'Donnell and people on the left, they no longer have credibility. It is 7:51, and Sam Rutherford has the news coming up at 8. Sam.